Well, good evening, and welcome again to the 2012fad.com. I will be your host this evening. My name is Charlie Bluehawk. Today is January 16th, 2011. Last night we chatted about HAARP, Antarctica, and dead birds, and how time, at least the events that are occurring in our time, seem to be speeding up. The changes are occurring faster every day, meaning that fantasy is quickly, finally, being replaced with reality. Whether anyone notices or not, I truly don't know. I have been waiting for reality now for 40 years, at least. And I'm not sure at this point in time it'll make any difference, but let's give it a try, see what happens. One of the interesting things that has just recently been discovered by modern scientists is the fact that planets, our Earth for one, create antimatter particles and broadcast them into space. In our own ancient history, as far back as it goes, magicians, witches, sorcerers already knew this. They believed that the planets, the stars, were themselves alive and would speak to each other. Maybe this is how they do it. Quantum physics is the modern-day scientist's way of explaining magic. For example, in quantum physics, the fact that you are simply observing an event can actually change the outcome of the event. In my mind, that certainly sounds like magic. And it's certain that our masters, the elite, the Committee of 300, the Olympians, believe in magic because they practice black magic on a daily basis. And, well, they're in charge and they have all the money, and they're, well, leaving us homeless, butchering us wholesale, eating our children. Must be something to it. I mean, have you ever wondered how bankers come up with these schemes to rob us of all of our money and then convince us that it's a great idea to leave us jobless, homeless, and starving in the streets? And it's working really well. Again, it sounds like magic to me. I mean, have you ever wondered how 300 million Americans can be convinced to give away their freedom to travel within their own country, allow themselves to be sexually molested by perverts just because they fly on an airplane? Have you ever wondered how Americans were convinced to allow their children to be sexually molested by these same perverts just because they flew on an airplane? How do you convince an entire race of people to allow themselves and their families, their loved ones, to be sexually molested by people who are so stupid, so foul, that they could not hold down a job at McDonald's? So the TSA, the government contractor in charge of airport security, gave them uniforms and a gun and allowed them to grope you as you get off the airplane. Sounds like magic to me. How does a foreigner, a no one, literally a nobody, a non-entity, a Kenyan citizen, a communist, someone who was completely unknown 5 years ago to anyone in the United States, become president of the United States? Magic? Merlin would have been proud. Governments in the West are run for the corporations, by the corporations. This is fascism. I'm afraid you'll actually have to look up the word fascism, as I don't want to explain it here. Well, all right, fascism is how governments are run by corporations. I thought I'd give you a hint. People here have the right to vote with voting machines that steal the results. And no one questions this. At this point, we're getting kind of into a gray area. I'm not certain at that moment, is this magic or is this mind control? Now, there's a place in London, in England, called the Tavistock Institute. You can look it up online, TAVINSTITUTE.org, the Tavistock Institute. Now, the Tavistock Institute in London is hired by governments all over the world to teach them how to control the minds of their populations. They use the work of a fellow by the name of Edward L. Bernays, who happens to be the nephew of Sigmund Freud, who created the modern concept of advertising. Again, mind control. So now it's not so gray anymore. Now we've gone from magic and now we're more into science. Do you know why, for example, politicians hate old people? Because old people remember when there was something that looked like democracy. Older people remember when citizens stood up for their rights, and the government was truly afraid of its population then. Today, no one stands up for their rights, and the police are now ex-military, trained to kill the enemy and not to protect and serve the public. The military and the government are now all followers of a very unique form of Christianity. It's a form of religion that you must join, or you will find yourself removed from politics or removed from military service. Now, in public, they call their God Jesus, but in fact, it's their special God, Satan. Now, it really doesn't matter what you or I think about such things, because they believe it. They believe that they are doing their God's will by killing us, by murdering the innocent. Now, the Israeli army takes it a step further. They rape young children, boys, girls, women, men, and then murder them. Because under their holy book, it's okay and it's permissible because non-Jews are just animals to be slaughtered. At that point, I'm not certain if this is magic or just evil. But frankly, like everything else, this is all up to you. The world is now changing dramatically, and the drama increases from this point forward. If you want to survive with your family, a reason to live, to prosper, to grow, contact us. We here at the 2012fad.com have a plan to survive the event. Do you? For all of us here at the 2012fad.com, this is Charlie Bluehawk, wishing you a really good day and reminding you, please, do try to keep a good thought.